Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to today's installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs, and I want to thank you all for joining me today. So I just want to say real quick that this is probably going to be the last upload of the year. As of right now, that's the way it's looking, so this is going to be uploaded on the last weekend of 2019. So I just want to, again, thank everybody who has been watching, my channel this entire year. Even if you haven't watched the entire year and you've given it, a shot with 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 videos or whatever, just thank you for watching. I want to thank everybody who's been watching, everybody who has been following the channel since 2009. This year has actually marked the 10-year anniversary that I've had the channel, and it hasn't always been car related. It started off as my musician YouTube channel, and once I started doing some car reviews, and then I started Mike's Vehicle Spotlight, and that's kind of where it all turned into from there. So if you've been following the channel for at least 9-10 years, again, thank you very much, appreciate it. And yeah, and as far as holidays and stuff, it's probably after Christmas at this point, so I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas, had a wonderful holiday. And I hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year. Be careful out there on New Year's Eve. And that's pretty much it. So again, thank you guys. And let's get to the topic of today's video. The Aztek was out of commission yesterday. Or I should say last night. No worry, nothing huge. However, you can see we've only got one light. We lost the headlight. Aw, rest in peace. So that's what I'm going to do today, right now actually, since it's not raining and or snowing, at the moment anyway. We're going to change out the headlight. I got one, it was $6, and we're going to put it in real quick. But having the headlight burned out actually inspired me to tell you guys a story about my history of getting pulled over multiple times in a Pontiac Aztek. And that's why I'm changing the bulb, because I'm not going to get pulled over again. So let's go ahead and get the bulb changed, and I will tell you guys several stories about my history with the law and the Pontiac Aztek. So first off, second, and when you're changing the bulb on the Aztek, you obviously have to pull the entire headlamp assembly out of it, which really isn't that hard to do. There's this little thing here you got to pull up on this, and that unlocks the assembly. So once you pull it up like that, it's technically kind of free, but what you got to do now is either pull it out or try to push it out. What I have found easiest, for me anyway, is actually taking the amber lamp off, and that's just by these two fasteners right here. 7mm. Doesn't take much to loosen these up. They're thin, so I don't tighten them too much anyway. Just snug them up. You'll break them or round them out. Shut it there, and then from there, just kind of pops out. And then, as you can see, you can kind of access more of the the light, and then push it out a little bit easier. That actually pushed out way easier, because yeah, see these? So the light sits there. These little prongs on the housing, they sit in those holes there. That's what kind of holds them in. So and then it's going to be behind this cap right here. We're going to pull that cap off, and then that'll give us access to our headlight. Okay, so there's the bulb. I took off the dust cover, and the bulb is right there plugged into the socket or to the wiring harness. Boot cover looks dry. dust cover looks dry, so the inside looks pretty dry and clean. So nothing's getting in there, so that's good. I'm actually going to take the headlight off because the wire's in the way, and I can actually change this in the car where it's not as windy and stuff. Keep the snow from getting on it. So what you do is to take this harness off, there's a little tang back there. You just kind of pry up on it and pull the harness off like so. Yeah, doesn't look too bad. We'll tuck this down here for the time being. And now we can go ahead and replace the bulb inside the car. Alright, so from there all we gotta do is twist it out of the socket. Use my knee for leverage. So twist one, there we go, twist it that way. And there it is. So these are 9006 bulbs. That's the number. I think the high beams are 9005 if I'm not mistaken. But these are 9006. To get these off, might need that screwdriver again, but you pry up on this gray tab here and then you pull it off of the socket. Now when you put your new bulb on, make sure that you do not touch any of this, because the oils and stuff from your hand and fingers will shorten the life of the bulb. In some cases this bulb will explode because the oils get hot, you know, when the bulb heats up, and it pretty much fries. So yeah, anyway, we're gonna go ahead and change this, and like I said, just be careful when you're putting the new one in. Don't touch any of this. Stay on the plastic. Okay, the new bulb is now in place. Did not touch any of the glass. As a matter of fact, when I opened the top of the box, the glass was the first part to come out, so I opened it from the bottom just so you didn't have to risk that. So then carefully take that, line up those tangs there. Okay, we got it in there. It's kind of challenging when the whole unit's kind of free, but it's in there. Everything locked in. Now all we gotta do is hook our connector back up, pop it back into place, snap down the retainer, put the dust cover back on, and then put our amber light back on, and we should be good to go. And before you complete the task, it probably isn't a bad idea to turn the lights on. And there you go. Now they all work again. Done. Alright, so now it's story time, and I'm going to turn the tech on, and we're going to let it get warm because I do have some places to go to this afternoon. Might as well let the maybe let the windshield thaw and whatnot. Try and get the floor dry. I think I may have figured out what's up with the sunroof. I noticed, I looked up on top, and the very back of the sunroof glass is not closing down all the way. So I think that's why there's more water getting into the track, more than there should be. And that's why I think the water is getting everywhere. Yesterday was kind of bad. The roof button, sunroof button, is water coming back out of it again. I had to put a towel down. So I think the glass may need to be adjusted. So yeah, I figured, you know, with the headlight being burned out and thinking about possibly getting pulled over if the right cop saw that the car had a burnt out headlight, reminded me of not one, not two, but 3 separate occasions that I have been pulled over driving my first Pontiac Aztek. And let me start off by saying that out of all of the cars that I've had, and I've gone through every single car that I've owned on this channel, I've talked about every single car. I've had the 94 Sunbird, I've had the 92 Bonneville, I've had the 99 Alero, the 03 Aztek, the 08 Grand Prix, the 11 Escape, and now I'm on my 15 Fusion, and I have this 01 Aztek. You would think the last car that I would get pulled over in would be the Aztek. In fact, I've never had any run-ins with the law in any of those other cars. All of my other cars, which were either faster or sportier than, of all things, the Aztek, I've never been pulled over for anything. But in my first Aztek, I was pulled over on 3 separate occasions. And I'm gonna tell you guys all about that. Because when I came out here to go to work yesterday and it was still slightly dark out, and I started the Aztek and noticed that that headlight was out, the first thing that I thought of was, I don't have time to get pulled over this morning because I'm gonna be late for work. Like I was expecting to be pulled over, because that seems to be a pretty ironic track record that I have with the Aztek, is being pulled over in it. And before I start yet again, you know, when I was younger, you know, I wasn't stupid when it came to driving. I mean, when you're a younger adult or even a teenager, you know, especially if you're a guy and you get behind the wheel, you know, you want to do some stupid stuff. You want to do donuts, or you want to peel out, or you just want to speed, or just do stupid stuff like that. I never really did anything like that. I was always kind of cautious. I mean, I had my moments. There was one time when my one friend and I, in my Aztek, I probably only had the Aztek for a few months at the time, but we kind of raced in a way down a highway, and there was nobody around. It was like after midnight. We had a show somewhere. It was when I was in my band. We had a show, and he had the van full of equipment and stuff, and I just had my car, and I was driving home, and he pulled up beside me, and we just started, you know, and I probably only got the Aztek up to 90 miles an hour, somewhere around there, and then I backed off. I was like, oh, no. But, you know, there was nobody around. It was dark. If people had been out there, wouldn't have done anything like that. But it was, you know, that was the fastest that I ever got the Aztek. It was probably a little over 90 miles an hour. Yeah. But stuff like that. I mean, I never did anything remotely worse than that. And besides, that phase didn't last too long anyway. I was always worried about getting pulled over. And my first story does have to do with speeding in the Aztek. And it was, I don't know, I didn't really want to speed, but I had to, because it was kind of like a time thing, you know, and I decided to make the poor judgment of speeding briefly, just briefly, and it you know, it kind of cost me. So it was back in August or September of 2007. I don't remember exactly which one it was. I had my first Aztek for probably 6 or 7 months, so it was within the first year that I've had it. And I was going to Boardman, Ohio. Now, Boardman is just outside of Youngstown. It's actually a township, but there's a lot of businesses out there. It's a very heavily trafficked place, very popular place for shopping districts and all kinds of stuff like that. There are several ways to get to Boardman from where I am, because I'm north of Boardman. There's a couple of ways to get there. On this particular day, I chose to take Route 680, and 680 is it actually wraps outside of downtown Youngstown, and it takes you to various neighborhoods in the Youngstown area. It obviously will take you into Boardman, and so if you're going on South 680, that's where you're heading. And 680 is a 3-lane highway. A lot of 680, when you're driving around outside of downtown Youngstown, is 55 miles an hour. At some point it bumps up to 60, and then once you kind of get outside of Youngstown, it jumps to 65, and it's still a 3-lane highway. So my girlfriend at the time and I, we had to go to Boardman, and I honestly don't remember what we were going out there for, but I know we were going to be late. And I'm actually in the middle lane, and we're going under 65. Now at this point, you can go 65, I believe, and everybody was still going under 65, and I'm kind of upset because we're gonna be late. So I'm just like hoping we can go faster, but nobody's really budging. So then I noticed there's nobody in the left lane next to me, and I decided to move to the left lane, and I kind of gave the Aztek some beans, and just started passing everybody else by. The exit was coming up, so I finally passed everybody, and then I moved over to the middle lane once it was clear, and then it was clear in the far right lane. I moved over to the far right lane, and I settled back down to the speed limit, which was 65. About a minute later, I pass an Ohio State Highway Patrol officer. And at first, I was kind of thinking, well, at least I'm not speeding now. Something along those lines, I got back down the speed. I was, back to normal driving. But no, he pulled out, and at first I was kind of thinking it wasn't me, because I was speeding way back there. There's no way he could have saw that. Well, no, he saw it. So he pulled up straight behind me, lights went on, and I had to pull over. And the funny thing was, it was just before the exit to get on into Boardman. I mean, literally, the exit was right there in front of me, and I pulled off right before the ramp, and that's where he got me. That was the very first time that I had ever been pulled over for speeding, and I got a ticket. It was a ticket for 81 miles an hour in a 65 mile an hour zone. So that put a damper on my afternoon. I only had to pay a $90 fine, which that wasn't that bad. It could have been a lot worse. I obviously had the points on my license for a while. Yeah, so that was honestly the last time that I ever made the decision to speed like that, and like I said, ironically enough, it was the Aztek that I was speeding in. So I learned my lesson that day, and ever since then I was a lot more cautious. Like I said, I was cautious before, but I was a lot more cautious after that. And we were late for whatever we had to go to. So that's how that played out. I was late anyway. The second time that I got pulled over in my Aztek, ironically enough, was for speeding also, but I wasn't speeding on purpose. I had no idea. Here's what happened. The exact day on this was May 21st of 2009. It was a very, very bad day. I mean, this was just a very bad day. A series of unfortunate events took place on this day. That's how I remember the date. So the day was already bad, and this was just one of the things that got tacked on to how awful this day was. I had to go to an event that was in an area that I'd never been in, and this was the days before I had GPS or some sort of navigation. I didn't have a phone that gave me directions or internet or anything like that. So I was already very frustrated from earlier events that took place in the day, and now I'm driving to this other place and I have no idea where I'm going, and I'm just like, I'm losing my mind at this point. And I'm on the phone with somebody trying to get directions to this place, and I'm like looking around, and I'm just flustered, you know. I'm driving, I'm flustered, I'm on the phone. There's just a million things going through my mind at that point. And then all of a sudden, there's a cop that ends up behind me, and the lights go on, and I had to tell the person that I was on the phone with that I'm getting pulled over, you know. So I pulled over. There was like this little gravel area off to the side of the road in this particular place. I pulled over. The cop asked me if I knew how fast I was going, and you know, honestly, at that point, I didn't even know. Like I said, I had never been to this area before. I didn't see any speed limit signs, and I was going about 35-ish, but the speed limit apparently was 25, and I had no idea. And I told him that, and he actually, I think he could probably tell that I wasn't having a good day, but he ended up just giving me a warning. He didn't ticket me. He just told me to watch myself, and you know, I thanked him graciously, and I ended up finding what I needed to find anyway. So yeah, that was like one thing that added to an extremely bad day. But that's the second time that I got pulled over for speeding, and that time, like I said, was completely unintentional. I had no idea where I was or how fast the speed limit was. Turns out I thought I was safe doing about 35, but no, it turns out it was a 25-mile-an-hour zone. And the third time, and hopefully the final time that I've ever been pulled over, was back in, I want to say in 2011. It might have been 2010, late 2010, early 2011. It was winter like this, and we got pulled over, and this time I was not speeding. So the funny thing about this story is this took place, it was after 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, at this time, I worked at a retail establishment, and I worked nights, stocking shelves and stuff, so that's what I did. We didn't get out until, you know, like I said, after 3 in the morning. And at this point, I lived like 20, 25 minutes away from where I worked. So I have to drive through several areas, you know, to get to my house. And one of the areas that I used to drive past, there's a highway there. It's right over the highway, and there's usually, or there used to be, I don't know if they still patrol it much anymore, but there's always a highway patrol officer sitting somewhere either before or after the highway, somewhere in that area. So it's after 3 in the morning, I'm minding my business, I'm coming home, I'm exhausted, it's been a long day, and next thing I know, there's a cop, you know, he pulls out, you know, and the lights come on, and I'm not quite sure what's going on, you know. Now, being that it's after 3 in the morning, maybe he's just doing, I don't know, like a sobriety stop, or, you know, maybe he's just kind of looking out for people who may have been drinking or something. I don't know. the highways, or the road is pretty empty at 3 in the morning. I was one of the ones cruising by, so maybe he just wanted to know what was up, I don't know. So I get pulled over. And the first thing he asked me is, you know, obviously for my license and my insurance and stuff like that. Ironically enough, I don't have my wallet on me. Because when I went to work, I used to switch my jeans. I had a pair of jeans that were for work that were kind of, you know, not nice jeans, dirty, stuff like that, because you get dirty when you're stocking shelves, you're in the warehouse, and, you know, dirt and stuff. So I didn't have my good jeans on. I left my wallet in my good jeans from earlier that day, and I forgot to take my wallet with me, so I told him I didn't have my wallet. I gave him the insurance card, though. He asked me where I was coming from, and I told him where I was coming from. And at first he didn't seem like he believed me because the store was closed. Obviously, the store closed way earlier in the evening, and I'm telling him that I'm just now leaving work from that store. And he kind of didn't believe me that I was actually on my way home from work. So he told me why he pulled me over, and it was because one of the lights on the front of my Aztek burned out, and I didn't know it. So I had a burnt out headlight, which is why I wanted to change this one as soon as possible. And that's kind of what prompted me to tell these stories about all the times I've been pulled over in the Aztek. So the officer then told me to get out of the car, and we had to walk back to his patrol car. He told me to get in. He didn't put me in the back. He told me to get in the passenger seat. So I get into the passenger seat. He asks for my social. He types everything up on his like the computer that they have there, and my information comes up. My picture comes up. So he verified everything was in clean standing, and he just told me to fix the light, you know, ASAP. Didn't get a ticket. He wrote me up the little warning thing that, you know, told me to do the light. So that you bet the next day I was out there trying to figure out how to change a light bulb. So there you have it. That's all of my stories about being pulled over in the Aztek. Never have I been pulled over in any of the other cars that were actually fun. It's always been the Aztek. So hopefully that last time was the last time that I'll ever be pulled over. So that's it. I hope that you guys enjoyed those stories. I hope that it was a pretty decent way to end the vlogs for the year. Got a couple of things coming up next year at the beginning of the year. We will be celebrating 2 years with the Aztek, this one. We've only been driving it for almost 4 months now. I believe it's almost 4 months. But we've had it for 2 years, and we've definitely been through a lot together. So there's that, and the Fiesta, the 15 Fiesta is coming up on its 3-year anniversary, so you bet that I will be having a 3-year anniversary video on the day that, or somewhere around the day that we bought the Fiesta, and I'll give you guys an update on how that car has been. And you know, I know it's kind of difficult between school and work, trying to get videos out now. I'm still not used to having school and stuff. I'm still settling in, but you know, I'm trying to come up with things for you guys to watch, and I hope that you guys are still enjoying all the content that's still being presented. If you guys do, give it a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out teespring.com/store/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS and vlog merchandise. And that's all that I have for today, guys. I want to thank you again so much for tuning in. I will see you guys next time. Stay safe out there. Don't speed. Wear your seatbelt. Keep your headlights working. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.